Morning. Hope everybody's doing well and having a good weekend. Obviously, looking back at our game film from Thursday night, saw some good and some bad, some things that we did well. Obviously, pleased with the defense performance other than that opening drive. I talked about the mental toughness aspect to be able to just do your job over and over and over and trust your training, your techniques. And I thought the defense did a fantastic job as the game progressed doing that stuff. Like I told you guys post game, who would have thought that a lot of sacks would come from against a triple option team, but it was good to see us be a little bit more active there. Obviously, offensively, we had some explosive plays and some good drives. Still can't turn the ball over. Again, we put ourselves in a detrimental spot by turning the ball over in a situation that gave the defense, it could have been a touchdown for them. So we've got to be more cognizant of that. What we need to do there, and then obviously giving up the fake punt. Those are bothersome things, but things we can get corrected. Our players have the right mindset and understand we have to have a sense of urgency because we're playing a heck of an opponent down in Orlando. I was there when that stadium was being built, and my second season at UCF and my last season there was the opening of the Bounce House. Back then it was the Bright House Network Stadium. I'm not sure the name of it now, but look, we know the atmosphere down there. My previous trips down there as a member at Memphis have not been ones to remember. So we're hungry, we're ready, we're excited about the challenges ahead.
Frank and then Evan.
Hey, Ryan, I know college football programs are pretty regimented in your schedule. Well, these last 2 weeks, you had a late Saturday night game ahead of a Thursday game. Now you have a Friday game. How much of this is just throwing off your regular routine?
So, what I've learned a long time by doing this, talked, I think, a couple of weeks ago about playing those in the NFL, right? You play a Sunday game, turn around, play a Thursday. It's just being able to adjust. So I walked into our staff meeting this morning. I talked to you guys about not sleeping much, rolled out of bed probably when the roosters were still crowing. Some of you guys were probably still up and got in the office. My first thing I said in the staff meeting, it's Monday. Today is Monday. And so you have to treat every day like it is in game prep week. I have no idea. Someone told me it's actually Sunday, but it's Monday in my mind, and I have to operate that way, and our program has to operate that way. Obviously, we understand academics and different things that we've got to base around, but and being well prepared. So a lot of our schedules, Frank, I looked at, really once we got a set of from the conference, hey, here's what it looks like. So what I do is I try to map out things to the best of my ability to, hey, where we'll be. Obviously, the changing of the time, right? The Tulsa game getting back later. Well, then I had to go readjust on my schedule. But it's a part of my job as the head coach is to constantly look at what's the best way to put the guys in the best position to have some continuity. And obviously these 3 weeks have certainly thrown us for a different loop. But I think just approaching it, okay, whatever day in preparation it was, obviously in a short week last week, you had to condense some things and change some things. But this week, right, just finding different ways to approach it and make sure that we're all on the same page.
And I know you got, this Navy win is coming off that 3-game losing streak. How do you approach, the week after this win in terms of, kind of trying to turn the page to make sure that skid is, fully behind you?
Yeah, well, look, it's I look at it in all different ways. Like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, every week is a brand new season for us because when you put over 100 hours a week, game plan and putting the details in it, it truly becomes that way. And so for our guys, they know, look, happy and glad that, like I told you, their perseverance and not giving up and keeping believing, but we've got to continue to push and work harder because we haven't done anything. And we haven't accomplished anything that we want to as a program. And there's no such thing as satisfaction. Yeah, you can be pleased that you won, but it's on to the next one. And they understand that. And I got to continue to harp it. That's why I said to have a sense of urgency of finding ways to continue to improve because the margin for error in college football continues. Like I mentioned, week in and week out. And if you just look at the scores throughout college football, I mean, you'd sit there and say, wow, who are there's some really good teams. And then who are the rest of us? And that's kind of where we're at with this whole thing.
And you have any injury updates on any of your guys who are banged up? I know you guys got a number of guys.
Yeah, so Rodriguez Clark will still be day to day. David Kemp, our kicker, will still be, we'll kind of figure out where we go. Obviously, Joe Dole did a nice job with the extra points. Seth Hennigan was able to practice yesterday. And then, we'll just kind of figure out if Gabe Rogers is still a day-to-day type deal. And then same with Thomas Pickens.
Thank you.
Evan.
Ryan, before I ask my main questions, with Seth, you said he practiced. Was he able to be a full participant?
Yeah, we're limited in what we normally do on a Sunday practice anyways, so.
Okay, just wanted to clarify on that. So I'm curious though, if for some reason, again, so I'm assuming Seth can play, but with Peter Parrish playing on when Seth went out, are we to believe that if something were to happen to Seth, because we see the depth chart has Keelan Brown, is that a case of where you guys are now seeing Parrish as the number 2, or was that just a situation where Peter stepped in?
Well, at that point in the game, I just didn't want to risk any for the damage. I knew we were going to run the ball every single play, so it was just say who can go in there and hand the ball off and do it, and that's what Peter was called to do. I trust Coach Johns with that part. Obviously, we'd had to deal with the whole, the quarterback competition going into the season, which I was involved with, but. At that point, I just said, let's get somebody else in there. And you guys saw different players that get it. At that point, Calvin's ankle was still a little tender. So we switched that up as well.
Gotcha. All right. So my main question with UCF, obviously, they're a banged up team as well. Dylan Gabriel, we're not sure if he's going to play or not. But you guys, if you've been on a team that has faced UCF when they didn't have their main starting quarterback. So how difficult is it preparing for this offense? Because regardless of the quarterback is, they're going to try to be explosive and try to get you guys out in space and whatnot.
Yeah, I think they're 20th in the country in scoring. Coach Malzahn's obviously a national champion. He's an offensive guru. There's some elements of this offense that are based off of what he has created. But he's done a fantastic job, and we know what a difficult place that is to play. You've talked to anybody that's ever been on our roster the last 6 years will say playing there is the loudest stadium. They do a nice job with it. We're expecting a great crowd there. But their offense is explosive, right? They've played 3 different quarterbacks so far this year, and he's always been a rotational guy, right? So if Gabriel's back, so be it. Their freshman's playing at a solid level, and Joey Gatewood is a guy that I know pretty well, having recruited him when he was, being out of Bartow and Jacksonville, my whole neck of the woods. We recruited that area a little bit, so I've seen him practice in high school. It wouldn't shock me if any of them, and that's kind of, Coach McIntyre and the defensive staff has to be prepared for what each one brings, the different elements that they can bring to the game.
And then also just the fact that I think I saw Brian Goodson mention it. Today is the anniversary of that game last year where you guys came back and won. So I'm just curious, maybe those guys don't remember 17 and 18, but they remember last year. They remember just kind of how important that game was. So do you kind of preach how much last year's game can affect this game in terms of knowing they're going to be motivated, but at the same time, these guys understand the fight needed to face UCF?
Yeah, actually, I haven't even mentioned last year. Really, what I did was just told the vets, I said, hey, look, you guys know what the situation we're going down into, because that's more than anything to try to prepare them for the atmosphere. Because that's a different team. They are a different team than they were last year, right? Even though I believe someone I read that they had 20 all AAC type selections. They returned their entire offensive line. So there's going to be some similarities there, Evan. But, the reality is we're a new team. They're a new team, but it's just the motivated that, hey, it's the next one on. And we know that they're, a nationally recognized program, and we've got to bring our A game.
Does it change too? Like obviously they faced Cincinnati yesterday, and Cincinnati is just as a juggernaut. So how much do you guys put stock in what UCF looked like on tape against Cincinnati with what they've been able to do all season?
Yeah, I think you look at it and you take it all for what it's worth. As an offensive, when we're watching offense stuff, like we don't study the Navy game because we're not going to get a whole lot of help by watching Navy's offense for what we want to do, just simply based off of that. But no, we studied yesterday's game. In fact, a lot of us were watching it live as it was playing, just to see if we get some ideas and stuff. Because you have to, because that's the most recent stuff on film. And we know they got an excellent coaching staff. They'll make the adjustments and they'll be ready to roll on their side of the ball.
Thanks.
Frank.
Ryan, looking at what the defense was able to do against Navy, obviously I know offenses are different week to week, but how do you bottle up some of the good things that they did to where you can have that consistently on a week-to-week basis, no matter the offense?
Frank, last year the questions were being asked, hey, what could the defense do? And then it was really after the Navy game that they gained a little bit more confidence and were able to play it. Seemed like they played with more confidence and at a little bit faster level. And so you hope that bleeds through into a great week of preparation and then shows up on the field Friday night. And so I think that's part of it. Look, our defense is a hungry unit. Hopefully all three of our phases are, all of our guys on our roster are. But I think that hopefully just saying, okay, hey, defense, man, what the coaches are saying, trusting the technique, trusting the scheme, it's paying huge dividends. Let's keep it going. And sometimes that's what it is, right? It just takes a game where you're saying, okay, we're capable of doing this, and now believing it, and and maybe then it makes you feel like you make better tackles and trust your techniques a little bit more. It's a funny game how it works with the 18 to 22-year-olds, whatever their mindset may be, and if it helps build a not a cockiness but a confidence, then I'm all for it.
Now, I wanted to go off topic just a little bit and talking about Calvin Austin. Looking at his time here in Memphis, what has he meant to this program and to this team over the just being able to see what he's been able to do and the way he represents you guys on and off the field?
Yeah, look, Calvin will be the first to tell you, like when he came here, there was probably no grandiose expectations of being the star that he is. But he's worked every single day he's been here. He's showed up, he's put in the work, he's learned the playbook. He's gotten bigger, he's gotten faster, he's gotten stronger. And I think you tie all that in, he's kind of fits that Memphis mantra of, hey, chip on the shoulder, him versus everybody, find a way to prove everybody wrong in the grit and grind mentality of what our program hopefully is based upon. And he's a guy that even though he's not the biggest in stature, he works so hard and he cares so much about this program. It means the world to him. And I think you see it when he goes out there and plays day in and day out. And we showed it to the team. Coach Johns actually showed it to the offensive players on Friday. It was, so Calvin goes and scores on the reverse. And as soon as he gets in the end zone, he immediately looks back for those guys that sprung him on the blocks. He didn't point and do this and it's all about me and toss the ball. He immediately went and started pointing and hugging and high-fiving the guys that got the blocks for him. And I think that kind of shows you, man, how much this team means to him. He's grown as an individual, whereas everything nowadays is all about, hey, it's all about me. It's all about me. It's not about me. It's about this program, about the players that have pushed the brotherhood. And he believes that through and through, and we're seeing it come to fruition.
And I know he's got a track background. How beneficial is it to have a receiver who has that type of speed skill in his repertoire? Yeah,
I mean, look, he's got, like I say, he's the fastest guy in the state of Tennessee. So it's huge because, when he got here, you knew he's fast. And we've all been around guys that are fast that can't catch a football. We've all been around guys that are fast that can't run routes. And he's developed those two things. He's gotten strong in the weight room. So as he's developed his rest of his skill set, it's made him a really dynamic wide receiver, right? It's hard to go find a guy like, say I had the best hands in the world and I'm a great route runner. Well, I'm probably a 5'5", 40. So guess what? You can cover me all day. It doesn't matter what my routes look like. So, it's a lot easier to take a really fast guy that's going to put in the effort and the time like he has to develop into one of the country's very best.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Back to Evan.
Let me get off mute. Two things for me. One, have you decided yet if Kevin Johns will be on the sidelines or is that still an ongoing process?
Yeah, still an ongoing process. We'll talk about it. He's done such a great job and him and I have such a great relationship. The communication, like with a lot of things, occurs throughout the week and we'll see what that will look like as the week progresses.
Just to follow that up, what factors will go into that? Because obviously the offense looked a certain kind of way. Obviously, you said the players really responded to it. So kind of for you, what would that decision process kind of specifically entail for if he's going to be on there or not? Will he have a say in it or will you? What's that like?
Yeah, he certainly will have a say. And I think it's just him and I having the dialogue back and forth as to what makes what's best for the offense, right? What's best for the players, what's best for him as a play caller. Sometimes, right, you can be up in a box, right, noise controlled. It's easy when you're at your home stadium because hopefully, people aren't yelling all the time when you're offense, but then you have a chance to organize your papers, put stuff, as a play caller, you got charts here, you got things here you're looking at. Oh, I also have this emergency sheet. When you're on the sideline, it's, trying to find guys. Hold on a second. Budget cuts.
Season.
Yeah, so that's the timer. That means we've gone too long. I like it. But I think part of it is, what allows him to be the best as a play caller, but also can, affect our offense. I think having the ability to talk face to face to Seth rather than on a phone or over a headset, looking at the guys in the eyes, kind of getting a feel and a sense for how it's going. I think that stuff's all important. So, ultimately, if he decides to be on the sideline, that's great. If he decides to be up in the booth, I'm good with where he feels the most comfortable.
All right. Then my second actual question, I'm going back to Calvin a little bit. Obviously, last year he had numbers that ranked as high as any other receiver in the country almost. He's doing the same thing this year. At this point, obviously, you mentioned that individual accolades don't matter to him, but would you look at what he's done this year? Would you say that Calvin is putting up numbers or as productive as any receiver in the country at this point?
Absolutely. Look, if he won't brag on himself, I will. And I'm always going to talk about the team over anything, over myself, over any of our players. But he deserves national recognition. There's no doubt about it. He's playing as good as any player, offense, defense, special teams in the country, and he's putting it together. He's doing a lot of great things, and you can't just sit there and say, "Oh, he's only a deep threat." That's all they do is just throw the go ball to him. No, anybody who puts on the film say he's run every type of route concept. Right, he's returned punts. He's caught balls. He's caught a gosh darn, hand the ball and ran for whatever it was, almost 70 yards. So he's doing all those things. He's become such a dynamic player. And I think that you add that to the story of, oh, by the way, he was just a walk-on a couple of years ago. He's doing wonderful things. And, he all the credit and all the recognition he's getting, he deserves that tenfold.
Thank you.
Thank you.